Hello and welcome to another installment of Liberty Nation's Swamponomics videocast. I'm Andrew Moran, Allen's economics correspondent. Each week, I dive into the morass of top economic news stories and fish out compelling narratives, or I retrieve fallacies that have been accepted as conventional wisdom by the swamp creatures for years. This week, don't cry for me, Argentina. Argentina is facing an economic collapse. Again. The South American country has, once again, fallen on hard times. The economy contracted in the fourth quarter, inflation has topped 50%, and federal government debt to GDP surged beyond 100% in 2020. The peso has lost 42% of its value against the US dollar over the last 12 months. Unemployment is in the double digits. Things are not looking up for Buenos Aires. Conditions became even more somber when Vice President Cristina Fernández de Kirchner, who oversaw a separate financial crisis when she was president a decade ago, admitted that the country cannot repay its $45 billion loan to the International Monetary Fund, or IMF. She said, quote, "We can't pay because we don't have the money to pay," adding that the current terms and conditions laid out by the IMF are, quote, "unacceptable." Kirchner noted that it is time for bipartisan efforts to fight for a longer repayment term and different interest rates on the debt. The government has been going through debt restructuring with bondholders and countries over the last year. According to Bloomberg, IMF negotiators want to come to an agreement as soon as possible with the Argentine government. However, at the same time, they also realize they cannot force the government to repay the loan, despite the incumbent regime likely preferring to go to war with the IMF rather than making the necessary fiscal adjustments to ensure the nation is on sound financial footing. Austerity measures would almost certainly cost President Alberto Fernandez and the CFK the legislative elections in October of this year. Benjamin Gadan, director of the Argentina project at the Wilson Center, a Washington-based think tank, might have said it best when he told Bloomberg, quote, "Key players in the government's coalition would prefer to be perpetually at war with the fund. That attitude is not productive and complicates the economy minister's efforts to negotiate a new program." That said, how much longer until everyone gives up on Argentina and stops throwing good money after bad? This is the nation's 22nd IMF loan since 1956, and the perpetual bailouts, including the record agreement in 2018, have not led to any substantial economic growth. The government just continues to take on more debt or employ unconventional financing mechanisms. As Liberty Nation reported in June 2017, the Argentine government started selling 100-year bonds. For whatever reason, there was an appetite for these century bonds. Argentina received $9.75 billion in orders for it, causing an oversubscription rate 3.5 times what the government initially sold. Citizens poked fun at the measure, with some wondering if Argentina would even be around in the next century, or agreeing that at least cockroaches would pay off the debt in 100 years. Domestic economic policies have further weighed on the broader economy. The government has slapped tariffs on exports in an effort to curb food prices at home, something that has failed to be successful with food inflation skyrocketing. Repeating Kirchner's policies more than a decade ago, the Lula government has also instituted price controls on supermarket goods, leading to, unsurprisingly, shortages. All of these issues, in addition to the coronavirus pandemic, has forced 18 million citizens into poverty. Argentina's crisis deepens, but it is an economic collapse that is on repeat. It doesn't matter if the Fernandez-Kirchner government holds power or the opposition. Whoever wins, the Argentine people lose. That's it for me this week. Please read my full Swamponomics column, where I discuss the Suez Canal blockage, the Bank of Canada tightening monetary policy, and Pete Buttigieg's vehicle mileage tax proposal. Thank you.
Who are we? We are Americans that believe in liberty. We are a project of the nonprofit One Generation Away. We are patriots who apply the founding principles to the issues of today.
And they keep moving the goalposts on us.
We are educators and commentators who love America and the Constitution. Who are we? We are Liberty Nation.